let's talk about some paint sheens and paint finishes. So sheen is the technical word that we're going to use, and that means how shiny or how not shiny it is. You might also hear it referred to as a finish, a shiny finish or a not shiny finish, which would be flat. I have the camera so I can show you a prop at some point, but I'm not right now. So you have this blank chart possibly given to you already. If you're at AB Day, if you're virtual, sorry, you're just going to have to draw it, but it's not that many boxes, so you will survive, I promise. Okay, so here's the facts that we need to know about paint sheens and finishes. And yes, you need to write all these things down, but it's also good to listen to me because I will tell you extra things. So over here on the left, we've got all the sheens that we're going to learn. You're only supposed to know these 4 for this class. However, I will tell you that there's kind of more than 4 if you just like depending on what brand of paint you're looking at, who you're talking to. I mean, it just kind of like changes from company to company and person to person. So let me make me big real quick. All right. So like, for example, I have these little sheen cards that I'm going to give to you guys who are in person. I was hoping you could kind of see this shine on the screen. Yeah, you can kind of see it. See how the bottom of the card is like more shiny than the top of the card when I tilt it different ways and stuff. So this is a Bear. Bear is the brand of paint right here from this card. This is something that Home Depot sells. And so they're saying that they have 6 different sheens of paint on their cards. This is a Sherwin-Williams card, and it has also 6 different sheens of paint on their card. This one is I don't even see a brand on this card, but it only has 4 on it. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just kind of depends on who you're talking to and what brand. But for purposes of this class, they only want you to know 4. So that is what we are doing. Just go with it. Oh, why's my face back over there? It needs to stay on the right side. All right. So first of all, my face is just going to stay on the left. I'm sorry. Underneath my face, it says high gloss. Okay, just remember that. High gloss under my face. So flat paint, meaning it has no shine whatsoever. Like if you've been in my classroom, the black wall has no shine to it whatsoever. If you look at the ceiling in your house, it shouldn't have any shine whatsoever. That's like the standard thing to do on the ceiling. So that's what we call flat. No shine at all. The positive there is it kind of looks better. That is an opinion thing, but I would say the majority of people say that it does look better when it has no shine. Another positive is that it hides imperfections when it is flat, meaning like if you had a little chip out of your wall, or you had some runs where you drip paint, or the wall was like bumpy for some reason, it hides those better than other sheens of paint. Also, flat paint is going to be cheaper than all of your other types of paint. Because there's not as much material added to it that would make it shiny. They had to leave out a material, so it didn't cost them as much money to make. Therefore, they can sell it to you for cheaper. Some negatives about it, it's not cleanable. So when you clean it, like you scrub it, it gets a shiny spot on it, and that like shows up because the whole rest of the wall is flat and not shiny, and you've got the one spot that you scrubbed and it now is shiny. So that's a negative. That's why it's not cleanable. Like, you can clean the spot off, but you're going to tell that you cleaned the spot off, so it's not really doing any good. Flat paint does not seal out moisture. So if you put it in a bathroom, and if you ever notice like your walls get like steamy and kind of drippy looking after a shower, if you had flat paint in there, it would start like soaking into your walls and into your sheetrock, and eventually your walls would get too much moisture in them. It would create mold, and it could start ruining your sheetrock, because we learned that sheetrock is literally just like paper and dirt. Um, and for all of those reasons, it's the least durable type of paint. So, final column, where to use it? Closets, because it doesn't really matter what's in there. You just put the cheap stuff in there. Garages, for the same reason. Cheap rental properties, or just rental properties in general, generally have flat paint because all the same reasons. It's cheap. Um, Ceilings, because we don't want to see imperfections, and it's just weird if your ceiling is shiny. That's just not something you do. I don't know. Master bedrooms, guest bedrooms, and formal dining rooms would all probably be just fine with flat paint, because those are all rooms with walls that you're probably not going to have to clean very often. Like, they're not high traffic areas. They're not rooms where there's a lot of kids. It's just not rooms where you might get like scuffs on your walls usually. So moving on to eggshell/satin. You are learning it as eggshell/satin, like they are the same thing. And for some brands of paint, that is true. However, for other brands of paint, eggshell is one finish and satin is a different finish. So it just depends on what brand of paint you're using. But for purposes of this class, they're the same thing. Even though they're not. And I used to work in the paint industry. Just saying. So positives about eggshell and satin. It's a medium amount of shine. So if you're like, I don't know if I want it shiny or not, well, maybe you go with eggshell or satin because it's in the middle. It's the best of both worlds. Because of this, it's a little bit cleanable. Like, you can wipe it off and it won't leave a shiny spot because it is kind of shiny. It hides imperfections somewhat, not as good as flat, but it's not going to make them show up as much as shinier paints. It's very easy to clean, and it does seal out moisture at least good enough. Some negatives would be, oh my gosh, do you see that typo? It says it seals out moisture and does not seal out moisture. My bad. I need to change that. It does seal out moisture to an extent, but not like completely, is what that should say. It's not typing. All right. All right, now we're good to go. Shows imperfections some. Because it's in the middle, it's medium. It kind of has qualities of both the flat paint below it and the semi-gloss paint above it. So that's why it's like some moisture, some imperfections. It's both. Where to use it? Kitchens would be fine. Half baths, because they don't have a ton of water. Laundry rooms, living rooms, hallways, and foyers. All places where you're gonna need to clean the walls at some point, probably. And if it had some moisture in it, it would be okay, but they're not like filled with moisture all the time, like a full bath with a shower in it would be. Moving on to semi-gloss. Semi-gloss is probably what you have on the trim in your house, like the molding around your door, around your windows. If you have crown molding, baseboards, chair rails, cased openings, all those things we just learned, the paint on it is usually semi-gloss. So because it's mostly glossy, hence the name semi-gloss, it's very easy to clean. It does seal out moisture like all the way. However, because of this, it shows imperfections. So if you have a chunk out of it, or a drip, or wavy walls, or just bumpiness, you're totally gonna be able to see it, because it's making like reflections and shadows where there's high spots and low spots, and so it's just like more pronounced than if there weren't shadows and shiny spots. It is high shine, and because of this, if you had it on like an entire wall, especially in a large room, it would be kind of hard on your eyes, because your lights would shine onto it and they would reflect, and so they'd be making all these like bright blotches, and that's just like hard on your eyes. It's almost like polka dots in a way. So where would you use semi-gloss? Full baths, because you're going to want to protect your walls from all the moisture coming out of the shower. Doors, because it protects them because it's semi-gloss, and they get touched and slammed all the time. Cabinets, because they get touched and slammed all the time. Molding and trim, because they get touched and bumped all the time. All right, last one is high gloss. Over here behind my face, see, high gloss. High gloss is easy to clean. It's the easiest to clean, but we want to use it on the least amount of places. It definitely seals out moisture even more than semi-gloss. Its negatives are definitely shows all the imperfections. It's extremely high shine, like borderline reflective, like mirrorish. It's super harsh on your eyes. It is the most expensive because of all the shininess in it. That's more product to put in there, therefore they have to sell it for more. But it is the most durable because the shinier the finish, the harder it's going to dry, and that just makes it more protective. Like yesterday when we talked about oil-based paints drying really glossy, and we talked about how oil-based paints are more durable than latex paints. That's because of how shiny they are, how hard of a finish it gets when it dries. So where do you want to use high gloss paint? Really the only place you ever want to use high gloss is on furniture. If you're like have a wooden piece of furniture and it's old and it's scuffed and you want to refinish it, like repaint it to make it just look different, high gloss. And that's kind of a hard decision to make because you want to do high gloss only because you want the furniture to be durable. I mean, furniture gets used a lot. And it's going to get bumped, it's going to get pulled, it's going to have nasty hands on it, you're going to set things on it, they're going to scratch it, all of the above is going to happen. So you want to use the thing that's going to protect it the most. The drawback is just people in general don't really like the shininess of high gloss or just shininess in general. I'm sure some of you do. That is fine. I'm saying the majority of people do not prefer that super shininess. So yeah, you want it to be durable, but you don't want it to be shiny. Like, what do you do about that? There's options, but we're not gonna spend time in this video about it. All right, let's make me big one more time. All right, back to this little card. So you can kind of see it when I tilt it like that. But you can see how shiny, this way, backwards. How shiny this bottom one is. That the next one is a little less shiny, and then even less shiny, and less shiny, and less shiny. And then up at the top, let me flip it upside down. There is no shiny. No shiny here. That is flat. There's no shininess. You see the difference? Okay, my other prop is this stick, and it has all of the Sheens on it. I think we're going to paint these in class, maybe. I think it's on my list. But it's kind of the same idea that you've got flat on this end. And we didn't learn about matte, but we learned about eggshell satin, and we learned about semi-gloss and high gloss. And it's the same kind of deal where if I tilt it just right in the light, you can see how shiny this is. And I like literally painted it. You can kind of see like where one sheen of paint stopped and another one started. There's a good angle where you can see the different, how much shinier semi-gloss is than satin is. It's a little bit of a change. It's shinier. And then, this way. Between matte and flat, they look the same. There's a difference that I don't need to explain. But right there, you can see the difference between no shine, which would be flat, and eggshell/satin. There's a little bit of a difference. So this flat and matte is going to be it's going to get way dirtier because there's no clear coat protecting it. No shine. Okay, that's the whole thing. Thank you much.